In this lecture, I will talk about the characteristics of the hard and soft acids and bases. Let me write here the characteristics of the hard and soft acids and bases. Characteristics of the hard and soft acids and bases. If you remember what was there in my previous video lecture, you will see that the different metal ions as well as the ligands can be classified into two different categories. And what was there in the class A type of metal ions, if I just write here, the class A type of metal ions includes the alkali type of metals. First of all, the alkali metals, followed by the alkaline earth metals, and some light type of transition elements, which are present in their high oxidation states, okay, such as, so let me also write here light transitions with high oxidation states, with high oxidation states, okay. So this includes the alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, the light transition elements with their high oxidation states, okay. So there is present the first or the class A type of metal ions, and there is also present a class B type of metal ions which includes the heavier type of transition elements, right? So I am just writing here about the second class of metal ions, that is the class B type of metal ions, okay. This is the class B type of metal ions, and let me also write here the class A type of, this was the class A type of metal ions, okay. So what is there in case of the class B type of metal ions? Let me also write here these includes the heavier type of transition elements, which are present in their low oxidation states, low oxidation states, okay. So this is how we have two different classes of the metal ions, the class A as well as the class B type of metal ions, okay. So depending upon what type of ligands prefers to combine with class A or the class B type of metal ions, we do have two different classes of ligands as well, okay. So if we are having certain kind of ligands which prefers to form complexes with the class A type of metal ions, those will be known as the class A type of ligands, okay. So let us see what type of ligands are there in case of class A ligands. These includes those species which contains highly electronegative elements, okay. So I will be writing here that this will be having the ligands or the species, or it may be any species we can have here with highly electronegative elements, such as the fluorine electronegative elements, okay. So let me also write here which includes the fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen or chlorine etc. type of elements, right? So those ligands which contain highly electronegative elements such as fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen or chlorine, those type of ligands actually prefers to combine with the class A type of metal ions, and it is due to this reason such kind of ligands are known as what? These are known as the class A type of ligands, okay. So first of all, let me complete this drawing here, and also let me write here that these will be known as what? These will be known as the class A type of ligand, ligands because they preferably forms bond and complexes with the class A type of metal ions, right? Now, as far as the second class of ligands is concerned, it normally includes those species or the ligands which contains atoms of low electronegativity, right? So let me write here those ligands or species, those ligands or species which contains atoms of low electronegativity, which contains atoms of low electronegativity, they are there in the class B type of ligands. Okay, so these normally includes the heavier atoms such as phosphorus, sulfur, selenium, iodine, arsenic type of ligands, or the atoms when present in some ligand, they are referred to as the class B type of ligands. Okay, so let me also make this type of drawing here so that it will become a little symmetrical, right? So this is actually the class B type of ligands. Okay, so I will be writing here this is the class B type of ligands, which you can see here, right? So the thing is that the class B type of ligands preferably forms bonding or complexes with the class B type of metal ions, right? So this thing is very important. We have two classes of metal ions. This is the first class. This is the first class here, and this is the second class. And then based upon that, we are having two classes of ligands as well. This is the first class, I mean the class A of ligands, and this is the class B of the ligands, right? And the class A type of ligands preferably forms bond or the stable type of complexes with the class A type of metal ions. On the other hand, the class B type of ligands preferably form stable complexes with the class B type of metal ions. Okay, and if you remember, Pearson in 1963 suggested that the class A type of metal ions, I mean this class here, it is nothing, it is actually the hard type of acids. Okay, so I will be writing here these are the hard type of acids, and as far as the class B type of metal ions are concerned, these are referred to as the soft type of acids, right? So these terms here, I mean the hard and soft, were suggested by Pearson actually, and the year was 1963. Okay, in the same way, the class A type of ligands, so let me write here on this side, the class A type of ligands are known as what? These are known as the hard type of bases. These are known as the hard type of bases. And as far as the class B type of ligands are concerned, these are known as the soft type of bases, right? So here we have the two classes of metal ions and the two classes of ligands, and from those we have also seen that from where the hard and soft acids and base concept actually originated. The class A metal ions are known as the hard acids, the class B metal ions soft acids, and after that the class A ligands the hard bases, and finally the class B ligands as the soft bases, right? So okay, fine, now we have some idea that what these hard and soft acids and bases are. Okay, but I want to devote this whole lecture here towards the characteristics. Okay, so this is our main motive here for this lecture. For this particular lecture, I want to discuss about the characteristics of these hard and soft acids and bases, right? So let us move forward, and first of all let us start from the hard type of acids. Let us first of all start from the hard type of acids. I will be writing here hard acids, and on this side let me write here the soft type of acids. Okay, so that we can make a comparison in between the hard acids and the soft type of acids. Okay, so it will be good if I just draw a line here in between so that the characteristics of these two acids, I mean the hard and soft, will remain separate from each other, and it will be a bit easy for us to understand, right? So on this side, the hard acids, and on my right hand side, we will be talking about the soft type of acids, right? So the first thing is, as I have just told you, that the hard acids are the alkali type of metals or the alkaline earth type of metals. Basically, what we get from these two first points, that the hard acids are actually the small sized cation. This is the first thing, right? Whenever we are having some small sized cations, it will be actually a hard type of acid, right? So these are the small sized cations, and the light type of transition elements which are present in high oxidation states. Okay, now because some cation is present in high oxidation state, this simply means that if a cation is present in high oxidation state, it simply means that the number of valence electrons will be quite less in that cation. Obviously, if we just say that, this is the nucleus here, this is the nucleus of any atom or an element, and these are the different orbitals here, right? And in the valence shell, just imagine that very less number of electrons will be present if it is present in high oxidation state. Let us say this is the metal ion here, some metal ion, and it is present in +4 of state, obviously in the valence shell. If this is the valence shell, this will be having low number of valence electrons, right? So if the number of valence electrons or the outermost electrons are low, obviously the chances of distortion of the electron cloud is very less. This means that the hard acids are not easily polarizable. These are not easily polarizable because these contain low number of valence electrons, as these contain or are present in high oxidation states. Okay, so these are not easily polarizable. Okay, so these are the 3 points here. First one is, these are the small sized cations and are present in high oxidation states, and these are not easily polarizable. Okay, now as far as the soft acids are concerned, the first thing is that these basically includes the cations of large size. Okay, so let me write here, the first point is, these are actually the large sized cations, okay, which are having large size. Okay, so, and moreover, the second point is that these are present in low oxidation states. As you can see, these were present in high state, so this is just reverse of the hard acids. Okay, obviously soft is reverse of hard, so if on this side we are having high state or the high oxidation state, on this side obviously it will be present in, or we will be having species that are present in low oxidation state here. Okay, so this is the second point. And if we are having some metal ion that is present in low state, let us say M positive, 1 positive, okay, as compared to this 4 positive here, we are having a low oxidation state. Obviously, in the valence shell, I mean the outermost shell, if this is the nucleus, these are the shells here. In the last shell or the valence shell, the number of valence electrons present will be quite high. Okay, so let us say that these are the number of valence electrons which are quite high in the valence shell, because you can see here that the metal ion is present in low oxidation state. Okay, so under such circumstances, what may happen is that if the metal ion is present in low state or the oxidation state, it will be easily polarizable. The electron cloud here can be easily distorted, right? So if the electron cloud is easily distorted, I can write here that such kind of soft acids are easily polarizable. These are easily polarizable. Okay, so I hope that you people already know about the polarizability and the electron distortion. But if you people are not aware, let me show you here on this side that if in case we are having some electron cloud, if in case we are having some electron cloud, let us say this is the electron cloud here. This is the electron cloud here, and it is having a lot of electrons, I mean the lot of valence electrons. So let me draw the valence electrons by this purple color here. So let us say these purple colors are nothing, these are the electrons. Okay, so here is first electron, second one, third one, and likewise a lot of valence electrons are present, right? So what may happen is that if such kind of electron cloud that is full of valence electrons, it comes in presence of some external field or external effect or external species, anything, okay, not of its own, but if it comes in contact with something external, let us say, let me write here some type of external force, in the presence of some type of external force, what may happen is that the electrons will be moving and they will be accommodated on one side of that electron cloud, right? So because of that, what will happen is we will be having a scenario something like this. Okay, so the distortion of the electron cloud is actually taking place here. The distortion of the electron cloud is taking place. Let me write here distortion word, distortion of electron cloud. So what is meant by that? The electrons will be accommodated on one side of this electron cloud. So let us say the electrons are coming here on this side. They accommodated on this side of the electron cloud, and obviously because the electrons carries a negative charge, so what will happen is the negative charge, when concentrated on one side, this lobe here will become or will be having a partial type of negative charge, and because on this side, on the right hand side, no electron is present, so this will be having a partial type of positive charge. So you can see here, in the presence of an external force, if we are having some electron cloud that is having high number of valence electrons, I mean this case here, the number of valence electrons are quite high because the metal ion is present in low oxidation state. Okay, so what may happen is that the formation of poles may take place. Okay, you can consider it as one pole, and you can consider it as a second type of pole. So this is the negative pole, and this is the positive pole, right? So this is what is meant by polarization, right? So such kind of soft acids, I'm talking about this thing now, such kind of soft acids, they are what? They are easily polarizable because they contains large number of valence electrons, right? So this is all about the hard and the soft type of acids. After that, it will be good if I just give you some examples of the hard and soft acids. Okay, so let me start from here. Let me write here the hard type of acids. First of all, the hard type of acids, and after that, let me write here the soft type of acids. The soft type of acids, right? So the basic characteristics of these hard and soft acids we have already discussed, but still it will be good if I just give you some examples here of these hard acids as well as the soft type of acids, right? So on this side I will be writing the hard acids, and on this side let me write here the soft type of acids, okay? So starting from the hard acids, we know that it contains the alkali metals. So let me write here the first thing is what? And before that, the H positive. The H positive is also a type of a hard acid, right? So H positive, then the alkali metals, I mean the lithium positive, sodium positive, potassium positive, one positive, and then even the alkaline earth metals such as magnesium, magnesium 2 positive, calcium 2 positive, strontium strontium 2 positive, right? So these are what? These are some of the examples of the hard acids. We can even go further. We can even go further. Okay, after that, if you remember, it also includes the light transition metals which are present in high oxidation states, okay, such as chromium 3 positive, cobalt 3 positive, iron 3 positive, like this, okay. And after that, even Ti4 positive, that is titanium, zirconium 4 positive, okay. And even the atoms such as Cl in their high state, I mean 3 positive, as well as Cl7 positive, and even the ido atoms, I mean ido 5 positive and 7 positive, okay. So these are some of the examples of the hard type of acids. So I will repeat here that these all are what? These are the small sized cations which are having low number of valence electrons, and thus the distortion of the electron cloud is not easy here in these hard acids, okay, because these are present in high oxidation states, and thus these are not easily polarizable. After that, as far as the soft acids are concerned, let me write here, the soft acids includes the heavier metal ions such as palladium 2 positive, cadmium 2 positive, platinum 2 positive, mercury 2 positive, like this, okay. And it also includes the light transition elements which are present in low oxidation states, such as Cu positive, Ag positive, Au positive, even the Hg positive, okay. So these are some of the metal ions which act as the soft type of acids, okay. So once again, these all are what? These are the heavier type of metal ions, and some of the light transition elements which are present in low oxidation states, and thus they contain high number of valence electrons, such that the distortion of the electron cloud and thus the polarizability is quite easy in case of the soft type of acids, okay. Now, in between the hard acids and the soft acids, there is also present another category, and that is what? That includes the ions such as nickel 2 positive, Cu2 positive, zinc 2 positive, after that bismuth 3 positive, then ruthenium 3 positive, tin 2 positive, right? So even the cobalt 2 positive, okay. So this category here that is present in between the hard acids and the soft acids, this has a name, and the name is being satisfied about the position, from the position of these acids, because these are present in between the hard and the soft acids. These are better known as the borderline. This is the borderline category actually. This is the borderline type of acids, right? So what is actually meant by the borderline type of acids? This means that this category here, I mean from here to here, this borderline acid, these can act as both. These can act as the hard type of acids. These can act as hard type of acids, as well as on the same time these can also act as the soft type of acids, right? So let me write here, these can act in both ways. These can act as hard acids as well as the soft type of acids, depending upon situation, we can say here, right? So the role of all these acids, I mean from here to here, it is not fixed. So depending upon conditions or depending upon situation, these can act in both ways. Sometimes these act as the hard type of acids and sometimes as the soft type of acids, right? So this is all about the hard and soft acids, and now it is time to talk about the hard and soft type of bases, right? So let us first of all start from the hard type of bases, and once again I will be writing the characteristics of the hard bases on the left hand side, let us say, and on this side let me write the different characteristics of the soft type of bases, right? So we will go one by one. The first thing is that the hard bases, as we know, these includes the ligands or the species which contain highly electronegative elements, for example fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen, right? So the first point or the first characteristic of the hard bases is what, that these includes atoms, this includes atoms of high electronegativity. For example, it is that same line, it is that same thing which we have discussed earlier. Okay, so atoms of high electronegativity, for example fluorine is there, oxygen, nitrogen and even chlorine, right? And now because the electronegativity of the atoms in these hard bases is high, so one more thing which we can write here is that these are not easily oxidized, these cannot be easily oxidized. Okay, so these are not easily oxidizable, these are not easily oxidizable. Okay, so why we are writing this thing? Okay, because these are having high electronegativity, and electronegativity is like a pull for the electrons, a strong attraction for the electrons. And oxidation means what, that suppose we are having some species here, this is the nucleus, let us say, and these are present the different shells. Let us say this is the first shell, this is the second shell here, and just imagine that in this shell some electrons are present, first one, second, and let us say this is, here is another one, right? Now what is meant by oxidation? It is actually the loss of a electron. Okay, the loss of electron is known as oxidation, right? So if one electron is going, I mean minus one electron is going out from here, this means what will happen, whatever species we will be having here is that will be present in the oxidized form. Okay, so what is happening is oxidation is taking place, the loss of electrons which will be increasing the oxidation number, that is known as oxidation, right? So now just imagine that we are having some atom here that is having high electronegativity, right? So obviously the electrons here, they will be pulled very strongly, they will be feeling a lot of attraction by this nucleus here, such that it will not be easy for this atom to give an electron, or let us say to undergo oxidation. Okay, because this is having high electronegativity. So the hard bases, they have atoms of high electronegativity and they are not easily oxidizable, right? The third point here is regarding the hard type of bases. Okay, because these contains highly electronegative elements or the atoms. So once again, these are not easily polarizable. Okay, so it is that same thing. These are not easily polarizable. Okay, so this one here is common in between the hard acids and the hard bases. If you remember, even in case of the hard acids, we were having that same thing. Okay, so I'm just going back. You can see here in case of hard acids, these are not easily polarizable, and it is that same point which we are writing here in the category of the hard bases, right? So these are not easily polarizable, right? So this is all about the hard type of bases, and let us make a line here, mark a line here that will be dividing the hard bases from the soft bases. Let me mark a straight line here, right? So now let us talk about the soft type of bases. So obviously if these contains the atoms of high electronegativity. In case of soft bases, obviously these will be including the atoms of low electronegativity, right? The first point is these includes atoms of low electronegativity, right? So this is an important characteristic of the soft type of bases. This is the first point. The second thing is the size of the atoms is quite large here, right? So because the size is quite large, obviously that will be easily polarizable, right? So the second point is that the soft bases are what? These are easily polarizable. These are easily polarizable because these are having large size and contains a lot of electrons, right? So these are easily polarizable. And one more point is will be opposite of this. It will be opposite of this point. So if these are not easily oxidizable, so we can say that the soft bases will be easily oxidizable. These will be easily oxidizable. Okay, I mean this process here will be easy in this case. Okay, so as far as the hard bases are concerned, this process of oxidation is difficult. Okay, let me write here, this process here is difficult in case we are having a hard type of base. But in case we are having a soft type of base, this same process. Okay, so let me not draw this diagram again here. So I can just show here that this process is going also here on this side. But the okay, let me draw here, right? So this is the nucleus here. This is the nucleus, and these are the shells here. The first shell, and let us say here is the second shell. These contains electrons. The valence shell is having electrons, let us say, right? So obviously, because this is an atom of low electronegativity, so this pull here or this attraction here in between the nucleus and the electrons is not much here, right? So that the loss of electron, I mean -1 electron, is quite easy here, which will be a type of oxidation process, right? So this thing here, I mean this whole thing here is easy in this case because these are easily oxidizable, right? So this is an easy process here, right? So this is all about the hard and the soft type of bases. The soft type of bases. Okay. The final thing is that I want to show some examples of the hard bases and the soft bases. And for that, let me move on to the other side of the screen. So let me write here, first of all, the hard type of bases. Now I am just writing the examples of the hard bases which contain electronegative elements, right? And then on this side, let me write the soft type of bases, which includes large sized elements which are easily polarizable, right? So some distinction here, I mean let me mark some line here which will be dividing the hard, or which will be separating the hard bases from the soft type of bases, right? So here is my line. Okay, so as far as the hard bases are concerned, the first thing is you can see here all these species are containing the electronegative elements. Okay, so ammonia is there which contains nitrogen. Then we can have different type of amines, for example RNH2, even N2H4, that is hydrazine. These all contains electronegative nitrogen atom, right? And after that we can also have ligands or the species containing oxygen as the electronegative element. For example, water is there. Hydroxide ion is there, O2 negative. Then we can have alcohols, then alkoxides, then we can have ether. In the same way, we can also have the halogen containing hard bases, right? For example, we can have fluoride and then we can have chloride, right? So all these are containing what? These contains highly electronegative elements. This is containing what? This is containing, these species containing nitrogen as the electronegative element, and these are containing oxygen, and this is containing, obviously you can see here, fluoride and the chloride, right? And as far as the soft type of bases are concerned, these includes the atoms such as sulfur, arsenic, iodine, phosphorus type of atoms, right? So let me write here RSH, that is thiol type of species, and after that R2S, these are the thioethers, RS negative, and after that even R3P followed by R3AS, and then even the ido group. Okay, so all these are representing what? The soft kind of bases which contain heavy elements which are having large size, and these are easily polarizable with atoms of low electronegativity, right? So in the same way as it was there in case of the hard and soft acids, there was present a borderline category. Even in this case there is present a borderline category here. So let me also mention here the borderline bases, right? So we can say here that some type of bases are there which can act as both hard as well as soft depending upon situation, right? So the borderline bases normally includes the nitrogen molecule, that is the N2, even the N3 negative ion, then NO2 negative, sulfide, that is SO3 2 negative, also the bromide, that is Br negative here, right? So some others are also there, but this much of the examples are sufficient, I guess. So these are the borderline type of bases. Okay, so in this lecture we have talked about the different characteristics of the hard and the soft acids and bases. Moreover, we have seen different examples of the hard and soft acids and bases. We also come up with the concept, or we also found that there is also present a borderline category which can act as both hard as well as soft, right? So this whole concept of the hard and soft acids and bases actually come from the different kind of ligands and the metal ions. Okay, so we can always divide the metal ions into two categories, class A and class B, and based upon that the ligands will automatically be divided into two categories, because the class A type of ligands preferably form bonds or complexes with class A type of metal ions, and in the same way the class B type of ligands preferably form stable complexes with the class B type of metal ions. Okay, so this is it. Thank you so much.